add value through some of the content that you create. I mean, it can be a PDF, it can be a video series, it can be quotes on Instagram. It can be whatever you are comfortable with, but to me, it's just adding value and just being socially aware of the situation that your customers are in, for sure.
Welcome to the CanInnovate podcast. We focus on providing you with timeless professional development secrets and essential business life skills in a mini bite-sized format. I'm unlocking the vault and sharing best practices that management consultants have been using for decades. We're unapologetically curious. Enjoy. How would I describe this interview with Bryton Udy? Well, his story is a riddle that I really couldn't wait to figure out the solution. I mean, how does a hockey player, an award-nominated country music entertainer, become a marketing and branding guru? I have to tell you, I was fascinated, and honestly, he did not disappoint. This episode is for anyone that, from your own professional career development, to your own being a small business owner, to having a side hustle. It's anyone that needs to kind of pivot and just kind of take it up a little bit of a notch. Well, Bryton is actually taking his new knowledge, all this amazing knowledge and experience, and helping small businesses and thought leaders really find clarity and confidence in their own branding and marketing strategy with his actual brand coaching company at Heart Branding. I'm telling you, you'll just find all these amazing little nuggets that have just hidden kind of golden nuggets, I would say. We just talk about the 3 secret ingredients of branding, the value of an emotional barometer, the number 1 rule of branding, the art of perception, the at heart clarity framework, how branding, which is kind of fascinating, is actually deeper than it looks. Sorry, Instagram followers, there's a lot more to do with it, and how to find your own authentic way. But really, it's we also need to get into the bigger, deeper topics too, like how individuals, and that's what I'm saying, but from a professional development area as well, and companies can really benefit from branding, and where we need to kind of do right now, kind of a bit of a pulse check, especially with the whole COVID situation, that we kind of need to most likely need to shift and pivot of where we're going, because there's been a lot of things that have changed, and there's a lot more uncertainty now than ever before, and it's kind of now time to do that little bit of a pulse check to see if we're going in the right direction or if we need to kind of pivot, and so much more. And get this, he even has a free video course of a 3-minute marketing magic, and he's even giving away free coaching calls to different people. So I'll put that onto the website so you could do it. And of course, he's a fellow podcaster. He's got an At Heart Branding podcast. I mean, talk about value, and he's definitely giving back. But other than that, I hope everyone is staying safe, staying healthy, getting curious during this COVID situation, and being much more resourceful. And I really hope everyone is doing well. And I can't wait to hear your thoughts and feedback on the podcast episode. I mean, he told me I was a fantastic interviewer, so I am dying to hear your feedback to see whether or not I caught your attention. And I can't wait to hear from you. Cheers. Bye. Bryton, you've got such a fascinating story, from making it big in hockey and country music world. Like, how does it all combine together? Like, how has your experience as a hockey player, an award-nominated country entertainer, made you a better marketer?
Yeah, I mean, it's a story of many roads. I always wanted to be an NHL goalie, and I mean, goalies are weird to begin with, but when you start tacking on musician and entrepreneur into the mix, I think it even gets a little weirder. But I mean, for me, kind of working within a team environment and being a part of a team, I think was kind of my first experience with that was with hockey. And I think a lot of people that play team sports can attest to the importance of working together and getting along with sometimes people that you don't really get along with to reach an ultimate goal. And I think that side with hockey definitely made a big difference, kind of with the team and building a team and how to work as a team. And then, when I was done with hockey, I kind of lost the passion for the sport. And after that, I decided, there's this other passion and love that I have that I haven't really pursued, which is music. And decided, you know what, let's dive head first. And the first thing I did when I left hockey was buy a ticket to the Canadian Country Music Awards, and knew nobody in the industry, didn't know anything about the industry. I just knew I loved writing music and performing music, and tried to go and meet as many people as I could. And honestly, that's where, I learned the majority of my networking skills and was able to apply those, because it's a really small community and it's all about who you know. And as we started to grow as a band, my duo partner Annika and I, we were kind of shown what it meant to be an artist, and that was really kind of marketing. It at the end of the day, if you have a good song and you have great music, you need the marketing, and you need the public relations and the communications in order to share that music and get that music out there. So that for me, I was kind of pursuing music while I was at marketing school, kind of getting my marketing degree at university, and I was able to apply a lot of the concepts and learnings that I had learned in the classroom and also from reading books actually into our music business as Leaving Thomas as an artist. So it was really great to be able to kind of bring all of those experiences together as one. And I'm really grateful for every single experience that I've had that's kind of gotten me to this point.
It's such a fascinating case. You just don't think like hockey and country music and marketing would actually mix, but you're right. Like if you're in the public eye, and you would learn a lot about the art of perception and kind of thing. So it kind of makes sense that, being such a public figure, what you do, and people, understand, and people take things out of context, that marketing would be something that could, be a really nice secret sauce.
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny. I always said that I love the music side of the music business just as much as the business side. And it really is the music business. I think there's a lot of artists that kind of go into it just wanting to be a star and wanting to be recognized and have a number one song and play in front of thousands of people. But all those things are great. But if you have a family and you need to put food on the table, you need to also, make a profit at the end of the day. And in order to do that, you need to get people to love you as a brand and buy into your music and your merch and the experience of what you are as an artist. And so, when I was working with Annika, and I've done this with several other artists, is actually built an artist clarity branding framework that we used and found really successful. And that was honestly kind of the game changer for us in order to really focus on building our brand. Because as an artist, you can sell tickets to shows, you can sell your music, but you're going to have lifelong fans if they buy into you as a brand. And that was really kind of the eye opener and game changer for us that really made a lot of shifts happen in that part of our lives, for sure.
Well, branding seems to be such a complex activity. Like it just feels like such a big mountain. And I guess it's because it's really hard to kind of know where to navigate. Like, I think why is branding so important?
Well, it honestly, to me, is the core of any business. I think a lot of people mistake the visual aesthetic of a business, so like a logo, colors, typography, as that's just branding. So just like the look of it, but it's a lot more than that. And really, at the end of the day, it's what your business stands for, who your business is really trying to help. What makes your business unique and differentiates your business from every other competitor in the industry. And then it also is giving your brand some personality, right? And giving your brand a consistent voice. And for me, the number one rule in branding is consistency. And at the end of the day, we need to make sure that we're taking consistent action in order to create a consistent reputation for our business. And that's really what branding is. And I think a lot of people kind of get confused because I think there's a lot of different, definitions or examples of what people think branding is. But really for us, it's a 3-part process. It's figuring out your brand spirit. So that's all the internal meaning systems, the internal workings. So your why, your perfect customer, your superpower, what makes you better than any competitor out there. Then we give your brand some personality, right? Which is the voice, the characteristics of your brand, and then your story. So what is the consistent story that you're going to tell that shows your perfect customer that you are the organization to help them transform and into the person that they want to become? And once we have that foundation done, then we're rocking and rolling. We're able to really focus that on social media, focus that on content creation, focus that on even the brand aesthetic. So designing logos. That's where we start every single time, is with those three pillars, with the brand clarity framework is what we call it. And that, to me, is finding so much more clarity and really focusing on building a consistent reputation for a business, which really is what branding is.
And it's interesting because you're talking about like the 3 secret ingredients of branding, the spirit and the personality and the story and that consistency. And I think I'm starting to understand how the being authentic really falls into that, is where, with making sure that people really see the actions behind the words that have been used are consistent, kind of thing. Like exactly. How I think people really kind of forget that, that piece quite a bit. So how could people and companies really brand authentically? Yeah.
It's
like, how do they find their authentic way? Like, that's their DNA.
Well, for me, it on the personal side, like it was just kind of following my gut and or your heart or your conscious, whatever you really want to call it. And I think from a business perspective, it's almost doing the same exercise. It's so many of us as business owners are so involved in our business, it can be difficult to step away and work on our business. I'm sure everybody's kind of heard that phrase before. And being able to step back and go, kind of the first thing is understanding who is our perfect customer. And if we can identify that one person or that one, business client, if we're a B2B company, that we really love to work with and we find benefits the best from our products or services, then it makes creating the marketing material and the content and the messaging that much easier, because you're talking to one person. So that's really the one thing. And then the next is really focusing on that perfect customer in your marketing. I think a lot of businesses, and small business in particular, think that they need to push messaging and communications that are way too focused on their own business. So, they're trying to position themselves as the hero in the story, to kind of quote Donald Miller. If anybody if anybody's heard of him, he's amazing. His book, Building a Story Brand, is incredible. But he really talks about a company should be focusing on their perfect customer as the hero of the story. So what are their problems? What are they trying to overcome? And then positioning the business as the guide, or the mentor to help that perfect customer get to where they want to be, and kind of being able to change the perspective and really have a paradigm shift in that way of going, we need to communicate from our customer's perspective instead of our own. That goes a long way with getting your messages heard, because there are 3,000 marketing messages that each of us are being bombarded with every single day. So in order to cut through, you really need to be focused on that perfect customer that you're really wanting to help.
It totally makes sense. It's like, one of the things I was just thinking about, it's like when you meet somebody for the first time and you've met them a couple of times now, and you're like, and you're kind of spidey sense, there's something off about it. Cause you know what I mean? Because you're just like, the words that they use, and they say they do this and they do that, but there's something off about it, right? It's that's what you're talking about, is that, if you're being consistent and you have that story, whatever it is, like nobody will feel that there's something I got to pay attention to about that individual. It's like, what? Like they actually do all those things. Like,
it is amazing. So true. It's so true. And I people are smart. Like we have that internal emotional barometer almost that can definitely flag stuff that is inauthentic. And I think there are a lot of businesses that focus on the mechanics of marketing. And I say this all the time. They focus on the mechanics of how social media works, or what their budget should be for boosted ads, or what their website looks like. But they often will lose sight really of the spirit of what they're trying to do, the meaning of the communication. And then at the end of the day, they're trying to help somebody in their life. And I think that's where I really want to change the narrative and bring it back to who you're trying to help.
Yeah.
What makes you the right organization to help that person, instead of, what are the quick tips and tricks and mechanics that I can implement to grow an audience or make another sale, right? It's not easy, but I think it's really, really important.
No, it's so true. Because like you said, the perfect customer is the hero of the story. And there's so many times where we see companies, and it kind of almost feels like they're justifying of what they do.
Yeah.
Not kind of,
yes.
It just feels very different, right? Like they're justifying their behavior. They're justifying, as opposed to having the customers just kind of tell the story for them and of what it meant to them for this company to do this.
Absolutely.
Very different.
So true. It's but you see it everywhere. And the brands that do it really well, and they really come from that place of building that consistent reputation in an authentic way. I mean, you look at the Apples of the world, or Coca-Cola for me is the best example. I mean, they sell brown sugar water, but in all of their ads, they're selling relationships, man. Like, they are selling connection between human beings. That's what they do. And any marketing message, even they were printing people's names on Cokes so that you would buy another one and give it to a friend, so that relationship was there. And that's really their spirit is the relationships, and their personality is the Lover brand, which is all built around relationships. And again, their product is brown sugar water. So, it's the branding side of things can be incredibly powerful, and it's just a matter of taking the time and stepping back and really establishing what that is for your business.
Totally. And it even works for individuals that are job hunting and everything else, right? I think we forget that we're often, we are our own brand, and what we represent and what we do to ourselves and everything else, that we are also kind of always a walking, kind of billboard in a sense. Like, what
Absolutely.
we say and do is also, that's what it needs to kind of connect. So all these techniques are the same thing of being, I guess it's a little bit more self-aware, right? And, a lot more aware of the situation and what's kind of going on, and listening a lot more deeper.
Absolutely, it is. And you talk about personal branding. That's probably really where a lot of branding is actually going. You see how many big entrepreneurs that are more known for them than their companies. And what's great about that is, if they build a massive company, they exit it, they sell it, they're still known for them. They're not known for the company name that they built too. And I think when you're applying for jobs and you are throwing your name in the ring with 100 other people, if you have figured out who you are and are passionate about that and confident in that, and believe in what you can provide to an organization, you're 100% going to stand out. And then it's all up to you in the interview process too, right? So it's definitely a big thing to think about as an individual, as well as, what do you stand for? What is your spirit and personality, and how do you stand out from every other applicant potentially applying for that job too?
Yeah, and it's funny because I was reading this other book by Evan Carmichael, One Word, and it kind of goes back to that whole, what is your kind of, one word, and trying to get to the essence of the spirit. So I couldn't figure it out for the longest time. It must have been the hardest thing on the planet to kind of figure out what your DNA really is, and how people perceive you. And so I ended up talking to so many friends and companies and people that I've interacted with in professional and everything, even when I was building up my own brands and things of what is it about, what am I? And everybody kind of said the same theme of the same word was curious.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like a very curious kind of person. I don't know. Do you have a word that kind of describes you? I mean, you kind of seem like a creative genius, up to the challenge for anything, how you networking when you didn't know anything about country music, the industry and,
Yeah. I mean, it's funny. I went through a very similar process, and I think that's also why it's so important to work with other people to kind of help you find your way. Because again, it can be so difficult to really understand who your organization is or who you are, to like how you present yourself to other people. And that really all comes down to your brand. And that's why I do what I do. I love coaching people through their brands and helping them find that unique and confident, authentic version of themselves. But I also had to do the same thing. I worked with a coach for about 1.5 years, and we went through an exercise very similar to the one that you went through. And, I came out with 5 words instead of 1. So just based on kind of the exercise, which was, charisma, soft strength, light, genuine, and ease. So it was kind of, it starts to build a few words that can really help you understand how other people see you, which is really what branding is too, right? It's your reputation. It's what people think of when they look at you, or they look at your logo, or they see an image of you. It's human nature, right? We kind of have almost a bias that we see when we see somebody, or we see a brand, or we see a logo or colors. And it's definitely an interesting process to start to put words to that, so that you can better understand how you're perceived, and either lean into that or adjust as you see that you need to.
Well, I could definitely see those 5. I've just met you, and I could see those 5 words easily applying to you. Charisma and ease. I can totally feel it.
Oh, well, thanks. I appreciate that. I'm glad I'm living the truth.
I can totally feel that experience. So, out of curiosity, then, with the whole COVID situation, right? It's kind of been it's kind of hit and miss. There's a lot of small businesses kind of trying to reinvent themselves, and a lot of and I feel bad about with all that's going. Is there like any advice or actions that we should think about, that may have changed from pre-COVID to post-COVID, or actually, I don't know what post-COVID looks like. So pre-COVID to COVID, I guess. What can businesses be thinking about during this time with their branding?
Yeah, honestly, I truly believe it's about providing value in the context of today. And what I mean by that is, if you are a consultancy firm, or if you are a restaurant, you can provide free value to your customers in a unique way. And especially right now, I think, watching the NHL playoffs right now and seeing some of the commercials in there, it's just like, it comes off as, it was Volkswagen had one that was super disingenuous of the world's starting to rev back up, and if you're ready to buy a new car, come to Volkswagen. And you're like, well, I mean, people have lost their jobs and they're not back yet. So I understand you need to sell cars, but there's a different level of social awareness that I think we need to have, right? Is just making sure we're aware of the lives that people are living right now, and it's different. But within that, I've been doing videos every week that just share a small business tip, and a marketing and branding tip, and I'm sending that out through social media, and I'm sending that out through my email list, and it's just going, I understand that it's tough times for people, and I want to help them get through it. So if I can, give any advice through the COVID lens, with branding and marketing, it's be aware of your customer's current state and their current situation, and offer value to kind of help them get through that. That's how you really build a brand. That's how you build relationships, and that's how you build loyal customers and even fans of your business. So, to me, that's the biggest thing. It's just add value through some of the content that you create. I mean, it can be a PDF, it can be a video series, it can be quotes on Instagram. it can be whatever you are comfortable with. But to me, it's just adding value and just being socially aware of the situation that your customers are in, for sure.
Yeah, and I can see that, because now I'm starting to see like McDonald's trying to get people to come back in and stuff like that. Like they're trying to be. You're right about that social awareness in the context of what we're in. COVID's not going anywhere anytime soon. Who knows what's going to happen, right? Like, I think some people thought it might be just a 6-month thing, but they really now need to. It may not have shifted their branding strategy and marketing strategy, and now need to kind of go. You know what? I need better stuff, because it's not going anywhere. Like, people are, scared about taking their kids back to school, right? And
for sure,
the job loss. There's just so much there's so many things that are not predictable right now. All the safety nets that we may have had, we are not so sure that we have anymore.
Absolutely. And it's a delicate topic. Like I totally understand and can appreciate that the businesses need to have customers come back in the doors. And I think it really, if that's the situation you're in, you just got to really focus on the safety and making people comfortable, instead of going, people are starting to roll back out, so you should come in and buy a car. Yeah. Like, that's right. It's we have a safe environment, and this is what we're doing in order to make this more comfortable for you. And we have you top of mind, and we're doing this for you, instead of, come buy a car from us because people are opening back up. It's a delicate thing, and it's a fine line to walk, for sure. But it's definitely important to keep in mind the current context of the world.
Absolutely. Well, and I think that's where you could tap into your own sense of community as well, right? Because everybody is so supportive. Like, I've been doing the Uber Eats and doing all that stuff just because I wanted to support a lot of local restaurants. And then they think, do you want to give additional? I'm like, absolutely. And the one that's giving, driving now more, I give them a higher tip than I used to give before, because I'm just kind of much more aware that we're all in this together, kind of trying to make that happen. So I kind of feel like there's also this amazing, feel of family and connection with the community that's actually out there, that a lot of businesses can really tap into that feel. Absolutely.
I mean, building a community is probably the best thing that you can do for your business too. This is some of the best small businesses. I'm located in Calgary, so we've got our little small business community, especially of restaurants and ice cream shops that my wife and I frequent probably more than we should. But I mean, we love them, and we would rather help our own our fellow business owners, fellow entrepreneurs, that they're doing everything they can and navigating really, really well through tough business restrictions with capacity and cleanliness and all that kind of stuff. But again, it's if you can build a community and be really appreciative for your customers and show them that you are, that's going to take you 10 steps further than kind of begging people to come back. I mean, the best example is this ice cream place. It's called Village Ice Cream here in Calgary, and they make amazing ice cream. I mean, we go there probably 2-3 times a month. It's amazing. But when COVID hit, we ordered a pint, and they would just kind of drop it outside of the door when you said you were there to pick it up. And inside the paper bag that they had your pint of ice cream in, they said, here's a free scoop with a waffle cone next time you come back and we open up. And it's just a small things like that go, we're really appreciative for you helping us. And, we want to show that we're grateful for that. Those little actions go a long way to building your brand, and it builds your reputation. And I mean, that's to kind of answer a further question back. That's another thing that I would really think about, is how you can show genuine appreciation for your customers in this time.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Well, look at that. I say the word love, and it makes sense because your company is called At Heart Branding. So, that's amazing. I was actually browsing on your website. It's such a great website. Honestly, it's so much more fun. And you kind of get sucked into a vortex. I kept playing around in there.
Oh, I'm glad. Thanks so much.
Yeah, because people forget about how much that website also is part of that whole story, right?
It is, and that's where you need to unravel and tell your story. And I mean, if we're talking about websites, I think probably 80 to 90% of small business websites have way too much writing on them, like way too much. And pulling it back and telling your story, even just through the headers, like just remove some of that content and just be really clear in your headers of what you want your customers to understand and to know and to think of when they land there, that it makes a big difference. So I appreciate that.
I couldn't, but now I stumbled on a little bit of a golden gem.
Okay.
I was like, what is this 3-minute marketing magic?
Yeah.
I was like, what is it? So tell us about it.
Yeah. So 3-minute marketing magic is a free 3-video crash course in pretty much our branding process. So each video is just a little bit over 3 minutes, so that's why we call it 3-minute marketing magic. And honestly, it's 100% free. We send you 3 videos, and you're able to kind of go through and help yourself, kind of guide yourself through our brand clarity framework to a certain degree. So and I mean, like, that is probably the best way to kind of get started is go through those 3 videos. You'll really start to understand your why and how to find your why for your business, discover a personality for your business, and then start figuring out how to tell your story so that your customers listen. And those are really the 3 videos that we have in 3-minute marketing magic. And again, it's 100% free, and you can find that on our website, which is @heart.co.
Well, I'm going to put all the links in the show notes so everyone can just click away and get to it. But it was so good. Like, thank you so much. But your website, your brand, your every story, and your advice are just absolutely brilliant. I cannot say thank you enough for your time. And
likewise. Thank you.
Now I know I'm going to get this question because I get it all the time from the listeners out there. How can they connect with you?
Yeah. So, I mean, I personally am on Instagram and all that kind of stuff at Bryton Udy. And then our Instagram and everything for @Heart is @HeartCo. And I mean, honestly, if you want to set up a free call, we're doing free consultation, 1-hour consultation brand strategy calls right now as well. So that can all be found on our website, which is @heart.co. And we'd love to chat.
Excellent. I'm going to put everything into the show notes so everyone can just be able to find it. And everybody in every company could benefit from a good coaching session right now, especially how times have totally pivoted and we don't know where we're going in the unforeseen times. Absolutely. I appreciate that. And then that's what I love to do, having those conversations with small business owners and helping them get through those tough times and find some clarity. It's hard to do by yourself, but I know because I have to do it with my own coaches. So it makes a big difference. But I really appreciate you having me on the podcast. It's been a lot of fun. Excellent. Thank you so much for joining and listening to the podcast. If you enjoyed this episode or any other episode, please share with your friends and colleagues. You can share on social media, the email link, the newsletter, and so on. Let's continue to support these Canadian innovators and help them really grow into bigger brands. Awareness and knowledge is totally key. Anyways, I can't wait to talk to you next week. Cheers.